Welcome to today's guided practice session. My name is Adam Maness. Today we are practicing a very cool voicing technique. We're calling it locked hands. Some people call it shearing style. Some people call it block chords. I've heard it called a bunch of different things, but I call it locked hands because the style is that our two hands are locked together. This is an octave-based voicing system. In other words, this is a great way to bring out octaves in your playing. This is a fantastic voicing system for actually playing melodies, for not just comping chords or laying down chords, but being able to play melodies. Actually, you can play melodies to tunes with this system. We're going to go over kind of like a scale running version of this to really hit everything we can in a 2-5-1. And so let's get into it. Let's dig in, shall we? So, as I said, this is a octave-based voicing system. We're going to do a 2-5-1 in the key of C, which means that the first chord we're working with is a D minor 7, right? That's our 2 chord. The 5 chord is a G7 flat 9, and the 1 chord is a C major 6. So we'll start with our D minor 7. Now, the easiest way to break this down is that we have octaves between our hands, right? Our right hand is playing a D, our left hand is playing a D. These will always be the outside notes for our locked hand voicings. The inside notes are filling in the rest of the chord. Now notice that they're filling them in with only the right hand. The left hand, at least how I play this, usually only plays one note. Now this is not like a hard and fast rule. You can certainly voice it however you want, but I find that this is the easiest way to think about it. Because you could almost think about, the octaves then melodically, thinking about your left hand playing a melody and your right hand voicing these chords. So here you see we have the notes for a D minor 7, right? We have D on the outside, and in the inside of the chord we have F, A, and C. Right? These are all the notes for a D minor 7. We have a minor 3rd F, we have a 5th A, and we have a C, which is the flat 7th. So then we just simply take these voicings and we invert them up, right? And we're going to just go up a D minor 7 chord. So that's our second one. F, D, C, A, F in the left hand. Well, we just go up another inversion. A, F, D, C, A. We just go up another inversion. C, A, F, D, C. And we go up another inversion, and we're back to D. So let's just, before we get even too far into any of this, let's just practice. Why is my click not working? There it is. Let's just practice here with the click, going up and down this chord. Just like this. Just what's written. When we get to the top note, the D, we go back down. Again, left hand is playing one note, our right hand is playing these 4 notes, and we're just doing the inversion here of D minor 7. Try it with me. 1, 2, 3, and 4, and. Okay, so one note on how to play these, right? We were talking just before we started this guided practice session here about how to make these sound as smooth as possible, because what we don't want to happen is for it to just sound like this. Right? All disconnected, and you can cack some notes. We don't want any of that. So how can we work on this to make it as smooth as possible? Well, the first thing is let's not practice with any sustain pedal. There are certain techniques where we can feather the sustain pedal and really use a quick touch with it to make it sound great, but let's not do that for this practice. Let's do no sustain pedal. Let's rely on our ears and our hands to make it as smooth as possible. Now, something that I like to consider when we're doing this is to actually think about, as my hands are moving, as my arms and hands are moving and my wrists are moving to the next note, I like to think about my fingers as almost like how shocks and struts work on a car, right? So when you go over a pothole, your whole shocks and wheel and tire system that goes down while the majority of your car stays level. That's why we don't bump so much when we're going over bumpy roads, right? It's because there's a great system there of shocks and struts, and it keeps us comfortable. It's the same kind of thing with our fingers. We can start moving our hand and consider our fingers to be the shocks and struts of our hands so that they're staying down as long as possible. Like practice thinking like, all right, my hand is moving, my finger is staying down. All of my fingers stay down as long as possible. My hand is already almost to the next one, right? My hand and arm, they're already going. Now with your left hand, you can just do legato fingering, and that is a great way to help smooth out the sound for sure. With your right hand, you can certainly do things like do 4 on the top note, right? We're only using 4 notes. We only need 4 fingers. So you can alternate between the 4th and 5th finger if you can reach it on the top note, but you don't really even need that. If you think my fingers are the shocks and struts, my hands are already moving to the next note, but my fingers are staying down. Practice also hearing the sound legato. Hear them connected as connected as possible. And then let your hands do that work for you, right? Don't think so much of like, okay, I got to pretend like there's a sustain pedal on, or I got to use the sustain pedal. Hear the sound connected. And I think you'll notice your hands naturally start moving and your fingers naturally stay down a little bit longer. But that's the idea, is that our arms, our wrists, our hands are already going to the next note, but our fingers are staying down as long as possible. And then just at the very last split millisecond, they're moving over, our hands are already in position. And the faster we get, the easier, this kind of smooths itself out, right? And eventually it's just, but start slow like that when we play this. Let's try it again. And think about that. Think about your fingers as staying down as long as possible. Your hands are moving to the next note. Let's try it. 2, 3, and 4, and... Hear the sound. How would this sound completely legato and smooth and connected? How does that sound? One more time. Whew. Okay. So we all want to have that sort of the smoothness of, say, like George Shearing or Oscar Peterson with these, both of whom were masters at this technique. And both of them, made it seem like they were just playing, it might have just been a saxophone section, which, by the way, these are great arranging voicings for things like saxophone sections. But for us, we want to just hear that sound legato, see if we can let our bodies react that way. Again, think of your fingers as little shocks as the car, which is your hand, goes over the pothole, which is the other keys. I think I stretched that metaphor way further than it had any right to be stretched. Okay, so this is just the start. So we can do these inversions, right? And we can play one kind of chord, and we can take it up the chord changes. That sounds really good, actually. What if we wanted to play a scale, though? Well, there's a couple ways you can do it. Famously, Barry Harris has his 6 diminished way, which is an amazing system, and we deal with that somewhat at Open Studio for sure. In fact, our course, Elements of Jazz Piano, has a whole thing about that Barry Harris system of the 6 diminished and alternating between kind of a 1 diminished thing. And we have this, which I call the French way, because it reminds me a lot of people like Debussy and Ravel and Satie and Poulenc and all those great French composers during that Impressionist era. And it's an easier way to actually conceptualize this, right? So we have the same, if you look here at every other note, it's just exactly what we just played. All we do is we move the outside notes up 1 scale tone. So here in our first D, we just move the left hand D and that right hand D up to the E. We keep the middle notes the same. And then when we get to the next inversion, right? If we think about our first exercise here, then we switch the chord. And then we take these outside notes, we move the outside notes, we keep the chord the same, then we go to the next inversion, right? And then we move the outside notes again, then we go to the next inversion. Now these last inversions, these are just the different chords. We're not gonna put a note between C and D. They're just gonna be 2 different chords, right? So if we consider this to be the same thing we just did, where we did the chord tones, but we're moving those outside notes to the notes in between. Now we have a D Dorian scale. Let's try that. Let's do eighth notes here. So play this figure with me. When we get to the top, we'll go back down. 2, 3, and 4, and. The challenging thing about this one is going down, right? It's kind of easy to see these inversions going up, and when we're coming down, you have to anticipate what's going to be next, right? So when I get to this where it's going to be B, I can't just take it down diatonically. You could, but it's a different sound. You know, you have to be able to anticipate that we're going to this A inversion, right? This is where we need to do some kind of work on this. So let's try it again. I'll slow it down even more so that we can try to get it. 1, 2, 3, and 4, and. Again, our fingers are shocks. Again, 1, 2, 3, and 4, and. Hey, almost got it. 3 and 4 and. There it is. 3 and 4 and. Practice with me. Four and. 3 and 4 and. Again, just hear a super legato sound. How smooth would this sound? Right, hear it as smooth as possible. What would it sound like right now if this was played by Oscar Peterson, by George Shearing, in a completely smooth way? What would that sound like if Ravel himself were here playing this? 3 and 4 and. 3 and 4 and. 3 and 4 and. One more time. 3 and 4 and. Oh, that's so beautiful. That's so much fun. And now we have. Here we have it. We have a scale, locked hands. We have all the options of a Dorian scale. Anything we want to play. Whether that's chord tones. You know, once we get into this, we can really just play any of the language that we already know using this concept. So we have Dorian. That's good. I was also doing some kind of like little scoops here. You hear this a lot, right? That's just with my left hand. Just 2 or 3 notes scooping up. So, you know, make the piano talk is what they say. Let's do it. So, okay, so that's our 2 chord. We're doing a 2-5-1. That's the 2. What about the 5? There are several ways to, of course, approach dominant chords, 5 chords that are dominant chords. And we're going to do one today that's based off of the half-whole diminished scale, or the diminished harmony that you see so often used on dominant 7 chords. So our G7, right? Like think about it as like G13 flat 9, right? Very common way to get to C major, right? That flat 9, that A flat leads to C major. And remember that diminished harmony from the G half whole, right? G, A flat, B natural, C sharp, D, E, F, G. Right, that's kind of based off of that A flat diminished, B diminished, D diminished, F diminished. They're all the same chord, right? All 4 of those diminished chords we can think of as like G7 harmony, like it's G7 flat 9. Right? If I just play an F diminished chord, F, A flat, B, and D, and put a G in the bass, right? That's a G7 flat 9. Sounds great going to C7. Okay, so we can use those diminished chords as our locked hand chords. Check it. So here's our G7, right? It's our 5-7 flat 9. If we start here on D, we have D diminished, right? It's one of those 4 diminished chords. Check out our outside notes. We can just move these up minor thirds inversions, right? Because we know that diminished harmony, it's sequential in minor thirds. I don't know if sequential is the right word, but it sort of repeats on minor thirds because it's based on like a half step, whole step, or whole step, half step pattern. We can just move this up minor thirds, the same 4 notes, different inversions, right? Sounds great. That's our G7, right? Sounds great going from, a D minor 7 here, right, to a G7, one of these diminished chord, to a C major 6. That'll be our 1, C major 6. Right? So here it is. This is our diminished harmony. And again, this is not the Barry Harris 6 diminished thing. This is a kind of a different thing. But check this out. He does talk about this a little bit. If we want to play a scale with those, not just the diminished chords, but what do? Well, we use the diminished scale itself. So if we put the notes in that are in between on the diminished scale, right? The half whole diminished scale starting on G is G, A flat, B natural, C sharp, D, E, F, and G. All of those notes are available to us. So if we go up the scale, we're going to start on D because it's in like a great register for us. We keep, again, the chord the same. And this is totally symmetrical. So it's just 2 notes per chord, right? So D, and then we just move the outside notes up a whole step and keep the chord the same, right? Then we go to the next inversion, up a half step on the outside notes, but a different diminished 7 chord. Move those outside notes. Each one of those diminished chords that we played, if we move that outside note up a whole step, that gets us where we need to go, right? We have that option. We can either play the diminished chord itself, or we can move that outside note up a whole step. And it sounds like that. Isn't that amazing? So if we play this, come on now. This is so cool. This is so important to know. It makes everything so easy. Let's just work this. Let's work this in eighth notes. Let's go all the way up. We'll go up to the D and back. Right, again, these are just those diminished 7 chords. Locked hands, octaves on the outside and a diminished chord in the middle. And we can move the outside notes up a whole step while keeping the middle chord the same. And then we change inversions. Let's go slowly. Let's go in quarter notes here. Just up and down. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Yeah. All right, let's turn it around. Again, we have to anticipate the chord, right? Ooh, that sounds so nice. Again, let's go up. Diminished chord, up a whole step, diminished chord, outside notes, up a whole step. So again, when we're coming down here, right? So if we look here, the very last chord on this graphic, right? C sharp, A flat, F, D, and C sharp, right? So we can think about this as really part of that B diminished, just with those outside notes up a whole step. And that's how you kind of have to anticipate as you go down, right? Because once we get to that B diminished, the next note on the outside is B flat. And that chord underneath it is B natural, D, and F, right? Part of that A flat diminished. So it's like, these are great to practice going down. because they resolve like that. Oh, that's so great. Fun ensues. Fun ensues like crazy. Okay, here we go. Let's put it all together. So here I have a 2-5-1 in the key of C, and we're going to do exactly what we went through. We're just going to break it up and kind of do some scale running. So we'll go up that D Dorian, our 2 chord, D minor 7. Then we get to the 5 chord, right? We have E here as our note, the next note, and that's part of that diminished scale. So we have our sort of our D diminished notes in the middle, right? E, B, A flat, F, and then again E is the octave. We go down our diminished cycle here, and then we end on a C major 6, which is just from the top down E, C, A, G, and then another E in our left hand. So the whole thing sounds like. Let's keep going. It's so much fun. So this is a start. This is a start of us being able to play these over changes. Now, once you can do this, you might be able to start doing melodies, which it starts to get really fun. So let's just practice this little scale running in C. We'll do it. We'll do quarter notes. We won't even try to swing it yet. We're just getting these shapes. These will be eighth notes. We'll consider these eighth notes. We'll start very, very slowly, because I know there's probably a lot of people who haven't tried this ever. So let's see if we can do this fairly smoothly. Again, we want to think about our hands on our wrists as the car driving over the potholes. We want to think about our fingers as the shocks and the struts, letting everything hold down as we are already moving to the next one. Let's give it a go. Again, these are eighth notes. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and... G7. So again, 1, 2, 3, and 4, and. Again. 3 and. I'm all turned around about how to count it off. We'll try it again. Ready? 4 and. Woo, so pretty. Again, 4 and. I'll throw some G's in there so you can hear it. Ready? 4 and. Let's take the tempo up a little more. Right here, 4 and. Here we go. 4 and. Three and 4 and. You know, that's just a little taste of how you can put some melodic soloing to this. You can voice tunes if you want. The possibilities are kind of endless. You can comp with this. It's such a useful thing. Let's try it a little faster. We're going to go down to go up. We're going to swing it a little bit. It's pretty fast. Pretty fast for lock hands, right? Let's try it right there. This is ambitious. Let's try it. 1, 2, 3, and. 2, 1, 2, 3, and. We got it. 2, 3, and. Lighten it up. Light up the touch. 1, 2, 3, and. So much fun. Okay. We got it. We got it. No problem. Let's do 2 more keys. We'll do up in the circle of force. I'll leave this graphic up, but let's go up to the key of F. So we do the same scenario, right? Where we have our G minor 7 is our 2 chord in the key of F. Our C7 flat 9, C13 flat 9 is the 5, and F major 6 is the 1. So we're going up. Right, that's our melody. We're going up a G Dorian. Right? G, A, B flat, C, D, E, F, G. That's G Dorian. And then we go down that C half whole diminished scale starting on A. Right? Based all around those kind of like E diminished, G diminished, B flat diminished, D flat diminished. Right? And then we land on F major 6 with that A. So we start again, just moving. We start on that G Dorian, right? G locked hand, G, F, D, B flat in the right hand, G in the left hand, and we just move those outside notes up the G Dorian. Then we change inversions, move the outside notes up, change inversions, move the outside notes up, change inversions, and then we're on the diminished harmony, right? Like a little E diminished in the middle. A, G, right? G diminished. Ooh, it sounds so sweet. And then we end up on F major 6. Let's go right to it. Quarter notes. Or eighth notes. 4 and. Just getting them in our hands. So sweet. Again, on that 5 chord, it's all that E diminished, G diminished, B flat diminished, D flat diminished, and we're just taking that outside note, and it can be a whole step up. Let's try it again. 2, 3, 4. Ah. On F. 3, 4. Again, our fingers are like the shocks and the struts. Our hands go to the next one while the fingers stay locked down. And try to hear it nice and legato. 1, 2, 3, 4. Trying stuff out. Let's take it up a little bit. 2, 3, 4. Hear that sound. Hear it nice and legato. Again, 2, 3, 4. It's tricky. Oh, sloppy. Maybe a little too fast. Let's try it a little faster. 2, 3, 4. Practice with me today. Oh, that's great. Isn't that nice? That's C7 going down. Again, 2, 3, 4. I don't know why I feel like finishing with that lick, but I do. All right. Let's get ambitious with the swing. 2, 1, 2, 3, and. Hold on. Two. 1, 2, 3. Again, 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. All right. That was the key of F. Let's do one more key in our practice of this. This is great, isn't it? Super fun. All right, let's try the key of B flat. So we'll go right there to the key of B flat. Again, C Dorian, right, is our first. Right? So we're going up that locked hands, C minor 7. Our first chord here is C, B flat, E flat, sorry, C, B flat, G, E flat, and then C in our left hand. And then we just take those outside notes up a scale tone of the C Dorian, and then we go to the next inversion. Right? So we have our inversions here, C minor 7. So the scale, we just go up. Just play this rubato, just kind of get it in your hands, and we come back down. We're coming back down in that kind of E flat diminished, G flat diminished, A flat diminished, C diminished. That's our shape, right? We come back down with D as our top note. We have our part of kind of like that C diminished shape where we can just move that outside note up a whole step. So D down to C diminished, B, which is part of that A diminished. Awesome. Just take a second. Right, you might just go up and down the E flat, G flat, A, C diminished. Just kind of get those shapes and then realize you can take those outside notes up a whole step. And you might go out those. Also important to have. Come on! Okay, so if we just do this rather slowly, this is key of B flat, exactly what you see on the screen, down a whole step. Two, three, and. To practice with me and two, three, hands. That's a tough one. At A. Down that diminished scale. It's our F7. We're resolving to B flat. Right? It's 2, 5, 1 and B flat. C minor 7, F7, F13, flat 9 sharp 11 to B flat major 6. Let's try it again. 2, 3, and. So much fun. Let's take it up a little bit. 2, 3, and. And just moving those outside notes. 2, 3, and. Again, we're in the key of B flat here. All right, I'm feeling this. One more tempo. 2, 3, and. Two, three. A little bit of a sloppy Steve there. Let's try it again. 2, 3, and. All righty then. Let's try swinging it, shall we? No pedal. There's no pedal on this. Remember, no sustain pedal. We only want to use our fingers. Remember, think of your fingers as the shocks and struts. It's a challenge, but that's how we have to practice this if we want it to sound good when we have the pedal. We don't want to overuse the pedal. We want to be able to do this without it. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, and. Not bad for the first try. Try it again. 1, 2, 3, and. 2, 3, and. It's a little tricky spot there between the A and B flat. Let's try it one more time. 1, 2, 3, and. One more time. 1, 2, 3, and. Come on now. Doesn't get more fun than that. Being able to play melodies, to be able to solo melodically with block chords, it's the best. This very simple exercise, this is just the basic version of this. It's really, really deep. And maybe the next time we do this, we'll do like a tune. We'll voice a tune where this would work really well, or a blues. Either way, it's super, super fun. Thank you for joining me on today's guided practice session. Until next time, happy practicing. Thank you, YouTube, for all of it. Super fun. Really, really cool, right? Love it. Thanks, everybody, for your practice today. Good to see all of you. All the regulars are out, even though it's hot. Nice, everybody. Thank you so much for spending the time with me today. Super fun. I'm here every Tuesday and every Friday. So why don't you go ahead and like and subscribe. If this is something you're into, if you want to get notifications, you can put the bell on. We're doing this all the time. Let us know that you're out there. Leave a comment. Let us know how you're practicing this. Thank you, Nicole. Thank you, Alejandro. Fingerings in the left hand, Alejandro. I'm not thinking too much about it. I'm not really... It's hard because everything is so close together. It's hard to do like a proper scale fingering. Like I wouldn't do... Right? Because like this first chord is like... To play it with my pinky, there'd have to be some kind of overlap. It's not very comfortable. So it's usually like these two or these three. Maybe even two. I mean, the great thing about that left hand being one note is you can alternate and you get more of a legato sound. But you can't really do like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1. That's not going to really work because of how close your hands are together. So really just keep it around the 3 and the 2 is what I'm doing. And the 1 as well. So like for this one, for the one that's on screen. Yeah, I really do like 3, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1. I don't know. It's just what seems to work. Cool, cool, cool. Nice. Thank you, everybody. Have a great weekend. Put the bell on. Like and subscribe. Awesome stuff. Cheers.